everyone, welcome to another edition of Blake the Snake Reviews. I really appreciate you clicking on the video. If you like what you see, please just like and subscribe if you want to. It's all good here, but today we'll be reviewing All Elite Wrestling's All Out pay-per-view. And I want to preface all this video, the whole thing, by just saying that I really respect everybody that chooses to entertain us from the squared circle. And with that being said, let's get into the review. First up, Big Swole versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I want to put that in there before she's never going to see the video. But anyway, it was the first match. You know, it's supposed to be on the buy-in, and people were outraged that it was on the buy-in, so they wanted to have it moved to the main show that I paid $50 for. $50. $50. I expect all steak, no filler. To me, this was just straight up filler. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I didn't expect this to be, you know, Austin versus Rock, you know, from WrestleMania 17, or I didn't expect this to be Cody versus Dustin from Double or Nothing 2019. But I definitely wanted more from my $50 pay-per-view. That being said, they did have good moments. They had where Britt Baker was kind of off in the shadows and she was seen by the camera, you know, kind of a horror movie vibe there. We had Big Swole looking around. We even had some blood stains on some a sink or the floor. We had Big Swole opening a cabinet full of fake teeth, you know, the chattery ones, you know the chattery ones. Now, I'll say all this to say this. I'm gonna go ahead and rate it. Don't kill me. Don't get mad, because, you know, I have a different opinion. This is just my opinion. This is my video. You know, I don't want to step on many toes, but I have to keep it real for me, just for me. So, I'm sorry. Don't hate. It's going to be a thumbs down for me. Next up, we had the 21-man Battle Royal. Now, here we had some heavy hitters. We had Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, of course, he went on to win, Eddie Kingston, and everybody else in his crew. We had Butcher and the Blade, and then we had, you know what happened. Matt Sydal comes out. He's the surprise Joker entrance. They always have to have a surprise. I think last year at Double or Nothing 2019, they had Hangman come in, win the whole thing, and that led to last year's All Out between Jericho and Hangman. So I really enjoyed the 21-man Battle Royal. It was good for what it was. They had a few scary spots, in my opinion. They had Brian Cage going to grab some thumbtacks. They had Ricky Starks going to grab a body bag to put Darby Allin in. They poured the thumbtacks in the bag with Darby Allin, and then Brian Cage, like a sack of potatoes, took Darby Allin and threw him, launched him as far as he could up the stage ramp. It was kind of scary for me to watch. It was kind of uncomfortable. And this is even coming before the Matt Hardy incident, which we'll talk about next. I don't know how Darby Allin could control the way he was falling at all. It kind of took me out of it sometimes. It, you know, it kind of scared me. But anyway, the end of the match, we had Jake the Snake coming up, and, you know, Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer were on the ring apron, and it was kind of the final battle, you know, to see who's going to win this match. We had Jake the Snake awkwardly trying to jam, you know, Eddie Kingston's leg into a snake bag. We had, you know, Lance Archer and them going at it. Finally, Lance Archer grabs Eddie Kingston by the rope and choke slams him off the top rope, middle rope, into Butcher and the Blade. That's how he won. I think the right man went over. It really told a good story, because I was worried about Lance Archer not only coming here for no reason, but he, you know, they had the match at Double or Nothing with Cody and Lance Archer. It was a good match. They, you know, they had him destroy Cody, which really kind of got him over, in my opinion. So if I have to get a rating, because they had the right man go over, they had a little bit of Jake the Snake flavor. They even had Tully come out, hand Sean Spears a piece of iron for his glove, which I don't think he ever got to use. I'll have to give it I'll give it a slight right in the middle thumbs up and jump thumbs in the middle. It was okay. I'll have to give it a B plus or a thumbs in the, not middle, but, you know, up, down right there. Just because the right man won. It was kind of sloppy in parts. Of course, we had Matt Sydal botching. Oh, I hate to bring it in, but, you know, he did botch the move. He probably 1 out of a million. He debuted and happened to watch this one, but hope Sydal's okay, and on to the next match. I'm not necessarily going in chronological order, but the next one I want to get into is Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in the Broken Rules match. Now, Broken Rules match, of course, is the 10 count, the classic last man standing rules. match started just fine. We had Matt Hardy in the football field. He was coming, you know, into the building looking for Sammy Guevara. He kind of walked around for a little bit. And finally, Sammy Guevara comes from the football field driving one of those carts that he actually got ran over by from Broken Matt Hardy or Damascus, whoever he was at that time. And then we had him awkwardly drive as slow as possible, trying to hit Matt Hardy. He hit some trash. Matt Hardy moved, and then they started brawling. The match finally began with them brawling. They went around for a little bit. Matt Hardy happened to DDT him onto a hard metal, graded picnic table that looked kind of scary because I know how hard they can be. I know how unforgiving that environment can be as far as the concrete and the table. So, you know, that was a hard spot to take or bump to take. Now, after they were brawling from the picnic table on, they decided to go on the scissor lift. And if you look by the scissor lift, you know, they already had 2 tables set up right there, you know, right by the scissor lift. It's like, oh, okay, well, they're gonna go on the scissor lift, and then they're gonna do something off on the tables, and I don't know if that's going to be the end, but that's definitely going to happen. So anyway, they had Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. Matt Hardy tossed Sammy Guevara onto the scissor lift, and you saw Matt Hardy kind of holding Sammy Guevara down with his boot as best he could, at the same time doing the scissor lift thing, you know. I don't know exactly what happened. Matt Hardy ended up going for a side effect. Sammy Guevara kind of pushed him off and was able to spear him off the scissor lift. And you know, oh my God, it was so hard to watch, so uncomfortable. Matt Hardy, if you haven't seen it, you know, I'm gonna play it a little bit, but I don't, you know, if you haven't seen it or you're easily made uncomfortable, I would recommend you turn away. But here's the footage. You see him right here. You know, he's going for a side effect, gets pushed off, and here yep, there it is. You know, he completely overshot the tables with his head and shoulder. It was just a scary spot to watch. It looked like, I seriously tweeted, like, seriously, is Matt Hardy dead? And he looked dead. It looks like all of his color drained from his face. Of course, he was knocked out. Aubrey Evers on top of him instantly as soon as it happened. Great reffing there. She went over to check on him and make sure, you know, that he was able to continue. Of course, he was knocked out. And of course, after all the pay-per-view took place, Tony Khan explained, like, the situation behind the scenes, where Tony said that he had the match paused, okay? So he sent Doc Samson to make sure that Matt Hardy was okay and see if he could continue. Now, I say that to say this. I don't think the match should have been paused. I don't think it should have been restarted. I think once Matt Hardy, or anybody for that matter, gets knocked out, loses consciousness, the match is over. Call it. Period. It's done. And there's so many cases of CTE, brain injuries, you know, people getting dementia after so many, you know, piled on head injuries you see in football. And of course, the most famous CTE injury is from Chris Benoit. I don't want to mention, you know, I don't want to mention or dig up dirt, you know, mention Chris Benoit, oh my God. But you can't hide the fact that a lot of the stuff that happened in the last few days of Chris Benoit were compounded and not helped by all the brain injuries that he suffered and the CTE that he was suffering by. So after about 5 minutes, we have, you know, Aubrey Edwards and the Doc Samson checking Matt Hardy and see if he's okay. It was kind of awkward because Sammy Guevara, you know, okay, he might be all right. We had him kind of pick up Matt Hardy and try to drag him. And Matt Hardy had no legs to stand on. He was clearly out of it, not able to continue. And after about 5 minutes of the ring announcers, JR Excalibur and Tony Schiavone kind of buying time, saying, you know, we hate to see this happen and everything. And after about the 5-minute period of them trying to buy time, they had Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy awkwardly brawl to the next spot, which I assume was the finishing spot where they crawled the structure up, and they had Sammy Guevara take a big, you know, fall off the structure onto the waiting crash pad and the cardboard. Now, while I'm not against the big spots, you know, like the Stadium Stampede, they had Kenny Omega give the one-winged angel to Sammy Guevara through the crash pad. I also didn't like that. If you want to know how I liked the crash pad whole big fall spot to look, I had to point you towards, I think it was 2000 or 2001, Shane McMahon going off when he was battling with Steve Blackman off the structure. I'll go ahead and play a clip of that here, and boom with the kendo stick and fall. You see how the camera just zoomed way out where you couldn't see everything? Oh, the cardboard and the foam pad and the crash pad. I don't really like that part. I wish they would have cut away, or at least not. You don't have to show what he's laying in. You don't have to show Sammy Guevara out after that. Show Aubrey Edwards counting to 10. Show Matt Hardy his awkward faces he was showing after the match, and get out of there. While this match wasn't up to par, it clearly wasn't up to Matt Hardy's standards. It clearly wasn't up to Sammy Guevara's standards. It didn't pan out like either man wanted to. I'll have to give it I'm going to give it a no contest, because that's exactly what Tony Khan should have done. Called it right there. He's knocked out. We're done. Let's go. Go ahead and put this text up right here from Tony Khan. He tweeted out today that, Matt Hardy was okay. The CTE, the brain scan, everything was okay. He didn't have a concussion. But it's kind of weird because Reby Hardy said he had a concussion. So I'm not sure who to believe here. I'll have to go with the wife, because hopefully she has the best, wants the best for Matt Hardy. So I have to believe her in this situation. But, I'm glad to see Tony Khan is thinking about Matt Hardy, and he made sure he was rushed to the hospital and taken care of. Now, the next match I want to talk about is the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. This was a pretty good match, a pretty decent match. We had Young Bucks showing a little bit of more hard-hitting action. We had Matt Jackson super kicking Marco Stunt out of his shoes and dropped his crutch and everything. That was a great heel move. I really like the mean streak of the Young Bucks. They're doing less flashy. They're doing more hard-hitting. I'll go ahead and show this clip right here. They had Matt Jackson holding, I think it was Jungle Boy, for the Swanton from Nick Jackson from the top rope, and it looked like he flattened him out. Usually it's like he barely kind of hits him and kind of rolls over like I can never do in my life. It looked so fancy, but it was a great hard-hitting match. I think the right people won. I like how the Young Bucks are seemingly turning heel. They might, we'll talk about that later on, but it was a solid match, and I can't hate it, so I'll give it a thumbs up. Next matchup, I want to talk about Hikaru Shida, the AEW Women's Champion, versus the newcomer, the NWA Women's Heavyweight Champion, Thunder Rosa. Now, this match was pretty damn good. They had a lot of hard-hitting action. They had one spot where Hikaru Shida, usually she puts a chair down. She likes to jump off the chair, hit a knee on the outside of the ring. And I liked how they had Hikaru Shida, the camera following her, and then Hikaru Shida running towards the chair, and Thunder Rosa from seemingly out of nowhere hit a beautiful, I think it was a high knee right to Hikaru Shida's face. These women were put in a very extremely difficult spot because it was right after the Matt Hardy incident, and they tried their best to recapture the fans' attention after such a brutal incident. So overall, I really appreciate the hard work from the women in this match. I have to give it a high, resounding thumbs up for a hard-hitting, solid wrestling match. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but they had Kip Sabian right after this match with Penelope Ford. And they said they're getting married. Oh my God, it's great news. Oh God. And then Wednesday on Dynamite, they're going to, tell us who the best man is. I don't give a rat's ass. I'm sorry. Let's move on to the next match. The Dark Order versus Scorpio Sky, QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes, and Matt Cardona. It was a pretty decent, hard-hitting match with hard work from everybody in the card. In the final moments, they were kind of telling the story that Colt Cabana wasn't totally committed to the cult-like environment of the Dark Order. We had, Stu Grayson wanting to slam somebody's head onto Evil Uno's waiting boot. Colt Cabana kind of pushed the boot and said, no, we can't do that. We cannot, we can't go that far. The ending, it all made sense because we had Brody Lee hit that huge, powerful, devastating clothesline to knock out Dustin Rhodes seemingly, and then we had him go tag Colt Cabana and say, okay, here's another victory. That's the story they've been telling. Colt Cabana, since joining the Dark Order, has seemingly, began a winning streak because Brody Lee will lay out somebody, he'll get a pin, and that's it. But this time we had Colt Cabana wanting to go off on his own, do his own thing, hit a moonsault off the top rope, and have Dustin Rhodes move out of the way, which messed up the entire win. Colt Cabana gets rolled up, 1, 2, 3. Dustin Rhodes gets the victory. After the match, we had the celebration from the Nightmare family, including Scorpio Sky. We had Brody Lee, destroying a chair. And after the match, we had Dustin Rhodes finding out that this Wednesday on Dynamite Live, he's getting a TNT title shot. I really like this promo. It kind of helped me get back into the show. And overall, this was a thumbs up for me. It was a hard-hitting match. Everybody worked their ass off, and I really appreciate it. It was very entertaining, hard-hitting. Scorpio Sky, of course, being the freak athlete he is. And I'll go ahead and say it now. He better get a title shot after Dustin. And finally, we are getting into the nitty-gritty. The best moments of this pay-per-view. FTR versus Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Going in, FTR were destined to win gold. They were destined to win. They were backed by Tully Blanchard. And this was a masterpiece. We had FTR playing by the rules. How dare they hold the tag rope? I'm not saying they didn't cheat. When they did cheat, it was behind the ref's back. And I really enjoyed how they cut off the ring. You can see at one point, Kenny Omega has to fight tooth and nail, no pun intended, for every inch to try to tag Hangman. I really enjoyed it. One spot I really, really liked was when Dax was being held by Kenny Omega and Hangman was about to hit that buckshot lariat from outside the ring. We had Cash holding onto his foot. And finally, they ended up switching where Hangman was holding Dax. And Dax ended up moving, and Kenny Omega nailed Hangman Page with a V-trigger. You see the story being told when Kenny Omega fell down, and you see him grabbing on to Hangman like, please wake up, please. We just made it up. Please wake up. I need you to win this. I need you to retain. I can't do this alone. That was beautiful storytelling. And then at the end, we had FTR finally capture the gold with 2 pile drivers to Hangman Page. 1, 2, 3. The match was over. The gold was won. And FTR finally winning the gold. This was a great match with amazing storytelling. 2 thumbs, 3 thumbs, 3, 4, 5 things. Thumbs, throw them in. It was amazing. Way, 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 way up there. That was great. The next match I want to talk about is Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho in the Mimosa Mayhem match. We had a lot of near falls. We had a lot of close calls with Jericho hanging on to the apron. Whoa! We had, Orange Cassidy holding on. Whoa! And finally, Orange Cassidy hits his finishing move, now appropriately called the Orange Punch instead of the Superman, hitting the Le Champion off the apron into the Mimosa, splashing it all over the audience in an amazing fashion. We had Orange Cassidy win over Le Champion in a surprisingly great match, a pretty good story being told. Orange Cassidy showed up, definitely tried. I have to give it a resounding thumbs up. It was very entertaining. And last, but certainly not least, the main event of the evening for the AEW title, we had Jon Moxley versus MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And what a match it was. It was extremely physical. I love the story of MJF refusing to leave the ring, refusing to lead into Jon Moxley's environment of brawling outside the ring. It was a great story. We had, of course, MJF got color at one point. It kind of made me uncomfortable when Jon Moxley was biting him in the face, getting his blood all over his face. Oh my God, it was hard to watch. Anyway, I think the right man went over. It was such an amazing finish how they had Wardlow, throw the ring over to MJF in their usual spot where he puts on the ring, nails him in the face, 1, 2, 3, the match is over. But they ended up having MJF, fumble the ring, didn't catch the ring, and he had to reach down with the ref's back turn, being distracted by Wardlow because he's distracted him for the ring punch. But then Moxley came out, looked up, and then he grabbed him and hit the paradigm shift. It was a banned move, but the ref didn't see it, so he got the 1, 2, 3. The match was over. I think the right man won. Jon Moxley needs to be champion a little bit longer. Now I'm excited to see Lance Archer, that was in the crowd during the match, face off with Jon Moxley. They're extremely hard hitting, both of them. It's going to be kind of like the immovable object, meaning the unstoppable one, or however that goes. You know, after everything is said and done, I still have to plug it into my scale. Now, if you're not familiar with my scale, I debuted it in my tenor review that you can go back and watch. We have Hank Hill on one end, and you go all the way over, and you've got a dump truck. You know what a dump truck is. I have to plug this in and just tell you what I've thought of it. We can't go all the way dump truck. Now, Tenet was a dump truck. It's definitely wasn't a Hank Hill. It was definitely leaning towards dump truck, but we'll pull her back just a little bit. We'll pull her back, you know, for the tooth and nail match. That pulled it back a little bit. I can't knock Matt Sydal, you know, for botching his move. So I'm not going to move it because of that, but I will move it for the Matt Hardy incident. In my opinion, should have been no contest, and that kind of took away some of the magic for me. But overall, it was a great show. I'll have to give it right here, right there, whatever that would be. Is that like a... Oh, okay. I'll rate it a Trent's Mom's Family Van. A Trent's Mom's pay-per-view here. That's the best explanation I can give you this scale. This scale is obviously, you know, do or die, but in the middle, if I have to rate it, it'll be a Trent's Mom's Van. The real thing I want to know now is, what did you think? Whatever you thought, just comment below, or you can tweet me at BlakeEdits on Twitter. I really appreciate you checking out my video. Until next time, bye.